Hello, everybody. Welcome to New York Talk. This is the Rotherham United podcast. And we're going to spend the next hour working out how we left Stoke with 3 points. Because we did. Upset a lot of people, especially Alex Neil, teams like Rotherham. Well, you've got to be doing better against teams like that, aren't you? So, yeah, that's what we're going to do. We've got another game. As is the case with these weeks leading up to the World Cup, there is obviously another game on the horizon, with Hull City coming to New York Stadium for another Saturday afternoon at New York. Danny, you're now a celebrity, haven't been on telly. How's it going?
Oh, it's going fantastic. I can tell you in one simple answer how we came away from Stoke with 3 points. We scored.
Yeah, we hit target more than them, almost as many times as them, having only had one shot. Nick, how are you doing? You weren't live on telly, unfortunately for you.
You what? Sorry,
you weren't live on telly unless anybody's watching this on through their Sky or whatever. So,
well, I'm live on telly now. Yeah, that's about as close as it's ever going to get. Hopefully.
How are you doing? How's your few days been?
Yeah, good. All good, mate. All good. No rants on Tuesday night from me at home, which were nice. Just what can I say? It's all good. Life is good.
For now, things can change very quickly in football. Oh. Can't they? So yeah, thank you all for joining us. Who is with us? Gavin says the streak goes on. Dan recording Millers on Sky. Baz is with us. John Hinchcliffe, Paul Brock, Dave Lawton, Brian Hargett. Hi all. Good to be a Miller. Yes, it is. A few other people with us as well will come through. Everybody as we are. So yeah, if you've don't know if you've missed us, I also don't know where you've been. We beat Stoke on Tuesday night, 1-0. We've got 2 people already saying that we need to be able to stick to a golden statue outside New York Stadium, which will definitely come on to Victor. And the mystery behind him not being in the Sweden squad. Could get the England squad. You never know, I suppose. Let's start with Ollie Rathbone. Now, we'll talk about the goal first and the circumstance it led to, but it was one of those chances. It's sort of a double chance cross where you just aim for the back post, and if somebody gets something on it, brilliant. If nobody gets something on it, it just sails into back at net. It's a really clever cross, and if you get it right, and it's always not easy to get right because not everybody does it, but it was a good cross, which ended up being a goal.
Yeah, it was like a little bit of a perfect storm sort of cross, wasn't it? Because it was low, it was hard, it bounced right in front of the goalkeeper. And it's one of them where if the keeper's slow to react, it's a goal. If someone gets the toe on it, it's a goal. Maybe a little bit thankful that Jagielka was off the pitch, so they were a man down. But them's the rules, unfortunately. And yeah, to score from that tight of an angle, just to deceive everybody, it's a cracking goal for Ollie Rathbone if he meant it. I'm sure he says he did mean it, but you can see the intention is to probably just whip a ball in and get someone to just to get a toe or a head on it or something. Because I think there's Harding, a Doffin, Kelly all swinging something at this ball, deceives everybody, and it just nestles in the corner. And oh dear, that away end went absolutely mental when he scored as well. We just about got settled down, and then suddenly, 1-0 up, what's going on? Oh yeah, what a day! And you just have to say, my mate Jordan Concannon calling it out from the corner, saying, "I bet you will score from this." And what happened? We scored. So well done, Jordan.
There's nothing better than making a call like that and it coming off. Nothing better. Even the bad ones where you think something bad's going to happen, if it still comes off, it's still a very good feeling. Talk about the circumstances, Mick. Alex Neil was not happy Phil Jagielka had to go off because he got injured. But them's the rules. That's the rub of the green, and he might not like the rule. I don't really understand why he's used it as almost an excuse in his post-match.
Listen, you can't not be happy. That's just stupid. Well, it is. It's stupid. How long has that rule been in place?
Oh, forever.
Years has that rule been in place?
You're talking 25, 30 years now, aren't you?
Hey?
Yeah. You're talking like 25 years that rule's been in place now. Yeah.
So you cannot be not happy about that. I'm sorry, but that's ridiculous. I thought Alex Neil were better than that, to be honest.
Yeah.
That is a really, really pathetic excuse, isn't it? Well, it is.
It is. Yeah, it is. What were your thoughts on the goal, though, Mick? Like I say, it's a good tool for chance. And Matt Taylor mentioned that post-match, didn't he? They've been working on that.
Yeah, absolutely. Good effort from Ollie, and like you said, it's percentage ball into the box, isn't it? And if nobody gets a touch on it, it's going to go straight through. If somebody does get a touch on it, hopefully, it's going to be one of ours. It goes in back at net. Either way, it went it back at net. I have a question. Obviously, I didn't go. I watched it on Sky. At what point does a goal no longer come from a set piece? How many touches does it have to have before it is no longer a set piece? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, technically, the way Sky are commentating on Rotherham games, every goal's a set piece because it comes from kick-off. You know, it's just ridiculous. It went around about 1,000 players before it actually went in back at net. But it was
I picked up on that as well. Like, how many touches did it take from the corner? Because you had a ball after taking corner, so it's 1, 2, 3. There's at least like 3 or 4 touches before Ollie shoots, isn't there? I wouldn't class that as a set piece. I'd class the set piece as it's come straight in from the corner and someone's headed it in.
Anyway, I mean, we could spend all night moaning about Sky commentary, which was utterly dire. I mean, it was absolutely dire. There was one point, I don't know where, sometime it's second. I'm moaning here. I'm on one already.
There's no rant coming tonight, everybody. But here comes a rant.
Yeah. Sometime it's second half. They brought that number 9 on, that substitute. I can't remember his name. He either way, whatever his name is, he played a ball. He side-footed a ball about 3 yards. Literally, all he did was open his foot up, tap the ball 3 yards, and the commentary was like, "What a fantastic ball! It literally passed it 3 yards to a player who were unmarked." They were like, "What am I listening to?" Anyway, there you go. Sorry, but it was crap. It was crap.
Yeah. Andrew Kelly says, Alex Neil, teams like Rotherham. I think that's the first time we've ever had a manager say teams like Rotherham. Yeah. I think that's a first.
It's a big nibble, isn't it?
like Mick says, I thought Alex Neil was better than that. You know, if it were Carl Robinson, I know we've all gone a bit fond of Carl Robinson. You know, if Carl Robinson said that, I wouldn't be surprised. No. But I thought better of Alex Neil. I'm really surprised he said that. Yeah. Don't get me wrong, I loved it. I loved every second of it. But yeah, so very surprising. Bring it on next time, Alex.
Yeah, absolutely.
We've got to start early with this one, Danny. We've got to go early with Victor. Victor's got to get all the praise in the world because that is one of the best goalkeeping performances from a Rotherham keeper in. I can't remember an individual game where a keeper's done better. Some of the shots were straight at him. I accept them. He's still got to save them. But there's probably 3 saves in there which are almost world. That one at end is such a good save. It's an incredible save.
I mean, I think Stoke did us a favour because they almost seemed incapable of not shooting at the man wearing green in that goal. Like, yeah, they had 29 shots, something like that, 12 on target, and I think at least 10 of those were just at Victor. But the 2 or 3 times he was called into action to pull off an absolute worldie, just wow. You know, I mean, he won 89% of the man of the match vote on Twitter. 89%. I think.
Oh, we didn't vote for him.
I know, exactly. But anyway, they must have been in the toilets when he pulled off his saves or something, or gone out early. But anyway, I think that's the highest percentage win of man of the match on Twitter so far. Just thinking off the top of my head, and fully deserved. I mean, the one in the first half where he dives at the player's feet and just snaps the ball away from him. No praise whatsoever from Sky, more or less. They just went, "Oh, it's a strong hand." And it's like,
amazing, that.
You daft. He's through on goal. I think a different goalkeeper would have stayed at home and tried to save it. But Victor's gone, "Nah, I'm having that." Run out, got his hand to it, and stopped the attack dead easy as that.
I said on post-match on Twitter that I was sat in my living room and clapped that. That we're that good, I clapped it on my own.
I would say in stadium, I jumped up, and I won't repeat exactly what I said, but it went along the lines of "That's absolutely amazing," and wow. And then the goal in added time, which makes it somehow better that it's in added time of all time. Yeah. He's gone down with, I think, cramp to start with before the corner, or he's Yeah, tactical tramp. He's got tactical tramp. And then the corners come in and he swiped it away. And if you look really closely on the replays, he claps himself as he goes down to the floor. He gets his hand to it, then goes, yes! And then goes and then he's on the floor. But watching that live in the stadium, I will admit my heart stopped. As soon as that ball came and he's got his hand to it, I literally felt my heart stop, as if to go, wow, how's he pulled that off? That's incredible. I thought he'd be in the away end with us at the end of the game. I honestly did. He was making a beeline. I saw it. But yeah, like I said, that is probably one of the best goalkeeping performances I've seen. That has topped Preston away. We didn't think it was possible, but he's topped Preston away. And just wow, like I said, a gold statue, please.
Yeah. Will says Victor was rubbish, lads. It's sort of right. We've got to be quiet about it. We can't get to it, Johansson says, I hope Matt Taylor is making Victor's contract a priority as well as the outfield players. Yeah, it's very easy to forget because that a contract in summer, and these performances are going to be attracting attention. The sooner you get him tied down to a contract, we all want him to go play for Sweden. But if he goes to play for Sweden, there's going to be an extra 20 clubs probably interested in him. Same way everybody else, but he'd sign him up.
Yeah, absolutely. There's been an interview with Matt Taylor today, which I've not listened to. I think he has alluded to the fact that Victor's performance the other night made him more valuable and made his put him in a better position to negotiate a contract than he was before Tuesday night. So, which is absolutely right. Yeah, I mean, he was outstanding, absolutely outstanding. If we need to get him sorted pretty quickly, don't we? But I mean, you mentioned that 29 shots, 29 attempts at goal. To be fair, without Victor, if you put Victor to one side, the bloke in row Z were in more danger than anybody else, weren't they? Though? I mean, that you see the Stoke fans on social media moaning how they didn't get anything out of that game. Well, it's dead simple. Just cannot finish your dinner. It was appalling, absolutely appalling. And I don't know the players. I don't know any of the Stoke players, to be honest, other than Jagielka. But there was one in particular who he basically decided that every time he got the ball anywhere around box, he was going to shoot. And I don't think he came close to even traversing 6-yard box, let alone other than 60 feet above it. It was woeful from Stoke in terms of their end product. So that's why you didn't win the game. It's as simple as that. You just can't finish, which long may it continue as far as we're concerned, and everybody else in division, to be honest.
Yeah. Scott Cundy says, how much is Viking worth?
I can pull that up now if everyone wants to know.
You can. Transfer market always undervalue.
Yeah, transfer market's always undervalue it, but Victor has recently spiked in value, apparently.
And recently?
Yeah, 14th of September recently. And yeah, he spiked to 630,000 as it stands at the minute.
He's not going anywhere till the latest. The earliest he's going to leave is the end of the season, and that's if we don't sort out a contract for him. He's clearly happy. You saw the reaction at the end of the game. He's clearly very, very happy here. He's playing minutes. He's playing games. It seems like a perfect marriage and it seems like a perfect fit right now. That's always not going to last forever, Danny, is it? There will come a time when Victor leaves the club, obviously. But right now, since day one, to be fair to Victor, it's not like it took time to warm up. From day one, we've taken to him, and it seems it's come the other way as well. For me, it's vital you sign him. I know Vickers is a brilliant keeper as well, who was also out of contract in the summer. But Victor's like 24, and that for a keeper, that's still realistically a baby. Keepers can play to 40, so he's still really, really young in terms of keeper. He could be the base of our team to come for many years if you get him under the right contract.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, just need to look at someone like Ben Foster, for example. Who was only just recently retired. I think he's more or less just turned 40. So you can still be more or less in the top tier of football and still be not really in the stereotypical age range, shall we say. I know we had Phil Jagielka who had turned 40 and was still on the pitch for Stoke. So players are getting minutes on the pitch, being a lot older. But yeah, Victor's still got a massive career in front of him. Like, depending on how his fitness goes, he could be playing for another 20 years, which is quite staggering to think about. But yeah, like you say, if we tie him down to the right contract, and he clearly loves our fans, he loves being here. We gave him his chance in professional football after he left Leicester. Like I say, it could be the basis of a really strong Championship team. And I think a lot of it does hinge on how well we finish this season. I know I've said it on past podcasts, but some players will stay purely by us finishing strongly and wanting to kick on with it. And if Victor keeps playing like he played against Stoke, he will be a massive foundation stone in us finishing strongly this season. Because just bringing it back to it, wow, some of the saves he can pull off. It's like Jordan Pickford gets a lot of stick for only having little arms, right? And I'm stealing this meme off Twitter. Does that mean Victor's like Inspector Gadget? Because his arms seem a lot longer than what they actually are. And it's just fantastic. And yeah, Marty Taylor, get him tied down. Absolutely, get him tied down.
Johansson does correct me. Yes, Vickers has another year. Josh Vickers has another year. He's contracted 2023. Apologies. But still. Will says 600k. Is that for his beard? Is his beard worth 600k? That's probably about right. Paramount UK and Johansson both say he is priceless to us, and he basically is. For all the reasons we've already mentioned. John Morell says the one-on-one save in the first half was brilliant. Waited till the perfect minute. However, some of Stoke's finishing was giving him flashbacks to leave Novak. How some players used to play for Birmingham. Yeah, but Mick's right. The finishing was terrible. But who cares? Who cares?
Yeah, absolutely.
Paul Barnfield says Billy Mercer may suit his style, could make him even better, possibly. That's very, 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 very good point. John Morell comes with another interesting one. Can we ask how on earth do people who run our football club allow these important players to run into the final year of their deals? The club will lose any negotiating power. The problem is when you don't know what division you're going to be in, because we're Rotherham United and we go up and down all the time, it's really difficult to tie these players down. You know, if you've been in Championship for even 2 years, you can say, right, we're a Championship club. We look at us. We've been here for 2 years. Sign on a dotted line. We are in the Championship. Or if you're in League One, we've been in League One for X amount of years. We're a League One club. Come and sign for us. When you don't know where you're going to be, I imagine as a player, Mick, and this is just an imagining, that's going to make it difficult for the players to know whether to sign or not.
Yeah, I think it probably is. I think there's probably some naivety from the club as well. You can't sort of dismiss that at all because John's got a really good point. You know, this is stuff that needs to be thought out long in advance of, you know, it's this year it finishes. You know what I mean? So yeah, it's something that we need to be working on. And to be fair, the manager seems to be more switched on to that than perhaps Warney was. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. But it is a good point. We shouldn't really be negotiating last year of a contract, particularly when these players are so critical to the way that we play at the moment.
Yeah, do not disagree. Scott Goody says Victor still has some development as well. His distribution still needs a lot of work, but he is a great keeper. Yeah, I agree. Jalen Simpson says on Rathbone, please didn't get another yellow. Yeah, he's only got to get through, I think, 5 more games without a yellow to avoid a ban.
Yeah, like that's going to happen. Come on.
Yeah. Shelley says, Ian Lyons, that save from Victor at the death was absolutely ridiculous. Of that, that's a Premier League keeper, and then they'd be showing it. If a Premier League keeper did it, they'd be showing it consistently. Yes, they would. And we're going to watch it consistently. Jerry Ann Simpson, that's £1 in the PW swear jar, Mick.
Oh, it is. It is. I'm going to have to £1.
I'm going to have to go back and listen to some last few episodes to figure out. I think Danny owes a few quid.
Yeah, I owe £2.
I'll go back and listen to him and figure it out. Yeah. Do you want to move on with Victor? Have you got anything else you want to mention, Victor? I feel like we've not spent enough time. And bear in mind how good that performance was. I don't think we've not spent enough time on it. What more
can we just say that Tobias got his win prediction right He said we win 2-0 though. But Tobias still predicted the win.
He'll not be on
Tobias
tonight.
seems to be the most positive person in the world. Because whenever I briefly speak to him on Twitter or whatever, it's always, we're going to win. Victor's then after the game tweeted that it was an easy 3 points. It's easy 3 points in the world.
He'll not be saying that tonight because Hammarby are playing. So obviously they're there watching that and they're not winning. A game that they should have absolutely walked. So he'll not be a happy bunny tonight.
If anybody is confused and a new listener, Tobias, when we say Tobias, it's Victor's dad, Tobias Johansson, sometimes in the comments as well. So just to let everyone know, I feel like that's sometimes an inside joke sometimes. I'm not trying to be. Danny, you did get the score prediction bang on, so well done. So did Jamie as well in the comments. Congratulations.
Yeah, dude.
Me and Mick went for the draw, so we don't get anything for that one, I'm afraid, Mick.
The only thing I would say about Victor is that the alleged time wasting that people are talking about, he's obviously not doing it right, is he? Because on each occasion he's had the trainer come on rather than waiting for the referee to ask him if he needs a trainer, spending 10 minutes saying no and then getting up. That's the Wickham way. So
yes,
it's almost there, I guess, if you want to argue that point, but it's not quite good enough.
He'll get there. Yeah. I am shocked he didn't get booked in second half, Victor. Not because he deserved it, but just because in previous games he's just wasted it to the point. I'm sure I'll get one. When we're 1-0 up against Hull in 93rd minute, I'm sure I'll get one there. Go back to the start and the talk about the lineup, Mick. Some changes, quite a lot of changes, and surprising changes. Cameron Humphreys came back in, which was not really a surprise because it's midweek game. Woody came out. No real surprises there. Brook Norton-Cuffy came back in. Again, no real surprises there. The other two changes were big surprises. Matt Taylor decided to go one up top, and he did what we've all been asking for. Georgie Kelly came in. Georgie Kelly came in up top on his own for his first start. And Hakeem Adofin came in for his first start of the season. I think it's only his second ever start for the club. Did you see either of them coming? Either of those changes? Maybe the Kelly one was maybe a bit more obvious, but still not that obvious.
I certainly didn't see it now. I'm really surprised. I thought it would continue to play the same system, but he clearly felt that we needed that midfield needed shoring up a little bit. So Georgie Kelly for me is the obvious solution if you're going to be playing one up front because he's able to control the ball, and he gives you that. It gives you much more of a work ethic than Tom Eaves, and he's better at winning the ball in the air than Connor Washington. So he's kind of a mixture of the two, really, I suppose. And then Adofin, absolutely bang on the money, weren't he? Just solid, straightforward. What I've liked him since the first time I saw him. He strikes me as he's a player with some potential. He's never going to be a flair player, but he's certainly a player for this level. For me, I think he is anyway, or he will develop into one. But I didn't see either of those coming at all.
No, I agree. Julian Simpson says, Odofin looked good, unsure what the old management team had against him. There were rumours, Danny, that the previous management team didn't trust him. And I've heard several people sort of say that they didn't quite trust Odofin. I don't know what that means. And I do think it's in a footballing sense, obviously. But based on what we've seen, we saw him in the Papa John's a lot last season, and obviously on Tuesday night, there's nothing spectacular, but he didn't do anything wrong. He was combative. He looked after the ball when he got it. There was nothing wrong with his performance at all, I didn't think.
No, I don't think so. I think maybe one root cause may have been Wigan away last season, where he dropped the clanger for the winning goal for Wigan. But I don't know, Matt Taylor seems more open to taking risks and gambling with lineups, and so far it's worked. I think, well, in hindsight, it's a beautiful thing, but if you look at like the strength and the aerial ability of the players who started, it sort of matched up Stoke really well. And then the changes he made, the players sort of came in and then did the same job. It's like with Georgie, a lot of his game was defending on Tuesday. And he actually did really well, to be fair. He put his head in where it hurt. He got some good blocks in. And, it was just there a little bit harassing their back line just to break up play and get us some minutes. And if that's the tactic Matt Taylor's gone for, then, fair play to him. He's bodied Stoke perfectly with that. But if you look at the formation, sort of both teams changed their lineups to sort of counteract each other. Like Stoke went for the 2 up top option and the 1 sitting slightly behind, whereas we went for the 1 up top and the 2 sitting behind. So it was like both a little shake up of our normal systems, because we actually play the same system, to be fair. And I was just sort of dug in more and kept Stoke at bay, which is down to defenders getting blocks in, the midfield and attack stretching the play and getting us some resting minutes, really. And then most of it was down to Victor and his stunning saves. But we didn't really have much attacking threat. I think we had 4 shots all game and the 1 on target was the goal. I'm not complaining because we've won. But that really sums up our game. It was definitely a dig in and sit on this. Sky said, is it possible to score a goal too early? No, it's possible to score a goal early and have a big job in front of you. But I don't think it's impossible to score early, score too early, because we've done the job and we've done the job really well. I am expecting us to go probably 2 up front again against Hull. But yeah, the shuffle up worked. I did like Odoffin, like people have said. He looked very strong in the middle, and it also gives us a different way to play. We can now play with 2 advanced midfielders, keep Dan's distribution in there, but still have the big body in the middle who isn't scared to put in a challenge or even throw himself at the ball in the box. So somehow we've come out on top with that. And you can see Matt Taylor just slightly implementing his own system now and just tweaking it slightly, where it's different, but it works with what we've got, which is great. And yeah, I was surprised, like you say, Mick, but it worked. And if it works, it works. Easy as that.
This is the beauty of formations like 3-5-2 or whatever you want to call it. You can make slight tweaks, and it still sort of works within the same system. If you're in 4-4-2, there's no tweaking to that, is there? It's just, if you want to change your defence, you're going to 3 it back, which is a massive change. 3-5-2, if you want to change midfield, that's fine. You can just still leave your defenders as they are, and almost leave your strikers as they are, and it's much more flexible in terms of that. Which we didn't see too much flexibility again from the previous management. We didn't see as much flexibility as we've already seen from Matt Taylor with the benefits of the system. I thought Duffin spoke very well after the game. He spoke to Radio Sheffield. I thought he spoke really well as well. Interesting to see what happens. We'll talk about the whole game. Who's going to start where in that one. John Morrell says on the count, Georgie Kelly, so I'll be honest, and he knows we like Georgie Kelly, but sorry to say, so nothing different in terms of all-round player than Tom Eaves. Very raw for this level. Yeah, very raw. And I know what you're saying, Mick, about him playing up top on his own, but I don't think he should have played up top on his own. I thought that's one of the reasons we weren't able to look after the ball as much, is because he couldn't keep the ball as much as maybe he would have wanted, as much as maybe Michael Smith would have done. I'm not convinced that's something we should do going forward on his own yet.
I think that formation was designed purely and simply for that game. Yeah. I agree with you, but I'm not convinced that there's anybody in our squad that would have been able to play that role as we would have wanted Michael Smith to play it. And that's only because he played that role for such a long time and was so experienced at it. Georgie Kelly is very, very raw. There's no question about that. I would disagree. I don't see him as a similar player to Tom Eaves. The only similarity for me is the position that they occupy. I think they're very, very different players.
I think Georgie Kelly's different when you see him in person, because the runs he makes miles away from the ball are much better than we've seen from Tom Eaves. His movement, things like that. On telly, you don't really get the effect of his off-the-ball movement, I think.
No, that's right. That's right. You never do. You never see as much, do you, on TV as you do when you're watching the game. So, but his forte is in the box. That's where he comes alive. and unfortunately we weren't able to feed him enough, really. So as an overall performance, it wasn't that good.
No,
know? Defensively, we were excellent. Victor was excellent, but when it comes to trying to keep hold of the ball and make a little bit of progress up the pitch, it was poor. And there's a long way to go for Matt Taylor to bring us up to the standard that we're capable of. But I think that we went there on Tuesday night to do a job, and do a job we did. So you can't complain about it. But I for anybody who's sort of watching that thinking, no, that's what Rotherham United are. That is not what Rotherham United are or will be. I'm absolutely sure of that. I just feel it's a work in progress with a new manager. It's his fourth game in charge, and we are transitioning from one style of play to another, but also where he's able to change it mid-game as well, which, as you mentioned before, the previous incumbents didn't tend to do that quite so much.
Is this what this podcast is going to be?
Yeah.
Different words to talk about the previous person that was in charge.
Yeah.
It's going to be a dance about the topic podcast. That's what it's going to be.
Yeah. I agree with that. Danny, what were your thoughts on that? Matt Taylor's talked about playing differently away from home, and we played 2 games so far. I don't think the first one was massively different to our home and away than the Blackburn game. But obviously Tuesday was very, very different. And it was, from a result point of view, it was a success. But from a performance point of view, maybe it wasn't.
Yeah, I mean, like we've already said, it's he's only his 4th game in charge, and it's not bad. A loss, a draw, and 2 wins in your first 4 games. Not bad at all, is it? I think Matt Taylor's looked at Blackburn and gone, yeah, we got that wrong. I think that he's honestly looked at it and gone, yeah, we got that one wrong. And that's why he's played a different system. And yeah, we can't face 29 shots at goal and not lose a game in future, if you like. But he still needs to work out which system he's going to employ away from home, a system that's still going to pick us up points. And he's already said in his interview, our home form will carry us this season. And yeah, he's right. Teams that aren't pushing for like the top 2 have decent home form and okay away form. That's been the case in football for donkey's years. Good home form, okay away form. Just to bring up a random stat, when we finished our highest ever in the Championship, our away form was atrocious, and it was the home form that carried us. And yeah, he's trying to employ a new system. He employed a similar system to what he did at Exeter, because at Exeter they've sat on a 1-0 and dug in and ground out the result. And he's just employed the same tactic with us. I'm not against it. If it picks us up points, I'm happy. And I think with Stoke, even if Ollie hadn't have scored, I think we would have ground out a 0-0, to be fair, which again would have been all right. But no, I'm not fussed about Matt Taylor's employing of new systems. He's got plenty of games to get it right. He might look at this game and go, maybe Georgie wasn't the option up front on his own, and he'll tweak it and then find the system that suits him. And this one thankfully suited the 3 points, but in future it might not, and that's where he'll tweak it. I mean, let's be real, lads. He's got a degree in sports coaching. He knows what he's doing, doesn't he? He has got the certificate and the special hat in his cupboard at home. He has got the qualifications.
Yeah. We also saw a couple of things, mate, that we haven't seen before. Let's talk about the substitutions, which were fairly impressive, to be honest. The Wood Hall was injured. That's obvious. I think Bramwell came on for Fergie. Very obvious. What isn't obvious, and we've got John Hensby here. Evening all. How refreshing was it to see 2 attacking subs on Tuesday when we were hanging on? Yeah, we're 1-0 down. I ain't got the times in front of me. Let's say 20 minutes left, and it changes the formation to go from 1 up top to 2 up top, and takes off the strike. Brings on 2 strikers. And yeah, it did impact the game, to be honest with you, because I thought when they came on, we occupied their defenders much more at a time when they were trying to gain control and gain composure. It stopped their composure at its root, really. And we've not seen that in previous managers' time. We never saw that once. It was always bring an extra defender on, we'll go 5 at back or 4 at back or whatever. This is very, very different experience, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. And it did change the game. And I mean, they didn't have any composure at all at any stage during game, did they? Let's be fair. Otherwise, they'd have been 7-0 up, 7-1 up. But yeah, it was refreshing. It was good to see. And it did change the dynamic of the game because we were able to get hold of the ball a little bit more. And then obviously come the sort of injury time, we were able to sort of spend a bit of time in their corners and just kind of, like I said, retain the ball. So yeah, it was a good move. And I wouldn't mind putting a quick shout out for Tom Eaves as well, because I think I said this on the post-match Twitter space. You know, up until the other night, he got a touch like Mike Gary's door. Every time ball went to him, it bounced straight off him. Whereas on Tuesday night, his touch was excellent.
His first one were amazing. His first touch,
yeah, absolutely. So hopefully, that's a sign that, you know, he's getting a little bit more sort of game ready. But it definitely was a good move, and it was a positive move. Instead of just, like you said, throwing on 2 more defenders and sticking 11 across goal line.
It breeds in panic. You know, when you bring another defender on, if I'm a defender already on the pitch, I'm going, well, what are we doing here? We're changing formation, and Gaffer thinks we need a bit of extra support. Whereas this way, it's right, boys, we've got this. We're going for it here. It just gives you that almost a second wind, or it would for me. It gave me a second wind to I've got extra belief coming from the sideline. So from 3 different ways, Danny, it feels like a really clever move.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, someone was saying in the stand at the time, he's like, he's bringing on 2 attackers. Stoke's not going to know what's hit him. It's like, because at that point, Stoke were more or less just broadsiding us, weren't they? They were just peppering the goal and just trying to get something. And for them to see 2 attackers coming on, I don't know what their defence must have been thinking. It's like, they're bringing attacking changes on. They're going to start going for it. And it puts that little bit of doubt in the minds of, we're going to have to just sit back just a little bit, just in case they go. And Eaves more or less did the same job as Kelly, you know, just occupying a bit more of a defensive berth, but still going after their defenders. Like I say, make much better game for Tom Eaves. His pressing was a lot better, I thought.
Yeah.
And then Washington was, well, just Washington, you know, again, just going after the ball up top and just disrupting it a little bit. But then we sort of still dropped back into that, right, just keep that ball away from our penalty area mentality. Yeah. And again, it worked because everyone knew the job that was at hand and they all dug their heels in and stuck to it. But yeah, very refreshing to see attacking changes come on, bringing a win back and 2 strikers on. Very good. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, definitely.
I did. John Morell, apparently rumour has it Stoke are still out there playing at Bet365 against mannequins, and it's still 1-0. Couple of these are sort of stats. They're sort of again, we're comparing to something we've had for 6 years, and I feel sort of bad the way we're talking about it, as if the last person in charge were an idiot. And obviously, he were amazing in the work he did. But a couple of issues we've had in the last few seasons of the Championship was, excluding the COVID season, because away games and home games didn't really matter. You could have played at Rec at Thorpe, and it would still be the same thing. Away form has been a massive problem for us in the past. It took almost 2 full seasons to win an away game under the previous manager in the Championship. Matt Taylor's done it his second. Another issue was we didn't win consecutive games. I think we've won consecutively once previously in the Championship. But Matt Taylor's already done it with his 3rd and 4th games. These are I don't know. I feel like I'm being harsh, mate, but that feels sort of different. The way we're playing and things like that. We're already seeing changes, and so far they're very positive changes.
It's going to be different. It's a different management team with a different approach. They may be similar in approach in their approach to players and how they deal with players and everything else. But you know, nevertheless, it's going to be different. And you know, I mean, we may not win another 2 on trot all season. We may go on a run of winning 6 or somewhere in between. You know what I mean? I don't really know. It's just a different manager, so
Yeah.
it's going to be a different style with different ideas, and he's already shown that he's willing to adapt and change things in game, in play, which previously has been a criticism that was levelled at us for not being able to do that. So maybe this is just maybe this is an upgrade. Maybe, I don't know. We'll see. In terms of tactics and willingness to be more attacking, I don't know. We'll have to wait and see, won't we?
Yeah, absolutely. Paul Banfield says, "Have we ever won 3 in the championship?" Yes. The last time we won 3 in the championship was in the Neil Warnock brief reign. I think I haven't got the list of the fixtures, but it was under Paul Warne.
Way up to quid.
Talking about him. Neil Warnock. God, that's annoying. It was Neil Warnock. But wait, I'll need to look into it. If we win Saturday, I don't know when we've won 4 in a row. That would be an incredible thing, but we've got another game to think of before that, haven't we?
I know what our longest winning run in the second tier is, which is 9.
Is that the one in the 81-82 season or 82-83, whenever it was?
Yeah, that's our longest winning run in the second division. Now, imagine winning 9 in a row and picking up 21 points back to back. Because I think that's the season they brought in 3 points for a win as well.
Yes.
There were 27 points, Danny. You didn't do maths.
I've had a long day. Leave me alone.
Matt, don't let him start adding up his pounds for the manager thing, because otherwise we're never going to get anywhere near.
We only owe 10p. Why is that the
Yeah.
case?
Scott Gooding says he was worried when we didn't have Chio. When Chio wasn't available, we seemed to have a bit more structure about us. The bad news on the night is Chio's out for 4 to 6 games, which is almost the World Cup, isn't it, basically? Where are we? We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 games left. So he might make the last couple of games before the World Cup. Maybe. We'll see.
We've still got 8 games till World Cup.
We've got. I want to get my fixture list. Bear with me. I've got the original fixture list up, and it's not got the rearranged games in.
Oh, of course, yeah.
We've got Hull, Coventry, Cardiff, Burnley, Norwich, Sheffield, Luton. So 1, 2, 3, 4,
8.
5, 6, 7.
Damn it! What's up with me tonight? I might go to bed.
Yeah.
Let's move away from anything number related for Danny's benefit. Come on.
We're going to hold him to Danny for the Chancellor. I'm sure they'll need another one soon.
I mean, yeah. I can move some zeros about. It's fine.
Yeah.
Chio out for a few weeks. Danny. Luckily, all the other 3 strikers, other than Tommy has not scored, but all the other strikers are in form in terms of performance at the minute. So hopefully, we shouldn't miss him too much. And Chio's form had dropped a little bit, so the rest might be actually quite good for him. Yeah,
I think so. I think the one thing we're missing without Chio is that speedy release. Going forwards. In fact, I think it's one of the few things I agreed with Sky about on Tuesday watching the game back. But yeah, we've still found ways through. You know, Washington knows where the goal is and knows how to score a worldie. We've got Kelly, who is looking definitely, well, we've only got really 2 games to compare, really, but impact sub Kelly in the box. And then we've now got Ollie in the goals, Barlessa there as well. Hopefully Wales finds a net at some point as well. But yeah, so we are still scoring goals without Chio. I know Chio's our joint top scorer in the league at the minute, but I don't know, it seems weird we've not missed him, or at least we've adapted to him not being in the team very quickly. And yeah, I think when Chio comes back in, it'll just add a different pace element back into the team and have that really speedy attacker. But for the time being, doing all right, I think. And I hope to see Chio in the stands with the fans again. because there was some rumour that going round. I think it was from our friend Mr. Bush who started this one, saying, the reason Chio's not in the team because he's always going elsewhere and he's already in conversation with who at Derby and this, that, and other. And someone replied, going, "Oh, sat next to me at West Stand."
I did too, actually. Yeah.
That was brilliant. No.
Yeah, classic. Just on the fixture list, fixture run. If you're looking at the table, our next 3 fixtures are fairly kind, and then the next 4 are ridiculous. We've got Hull, who have been struggling, Coventry, who were bottom up. I think they moved up a place, and Cardiff, who have been incredibly inconsistent. We then have Burnley, Norwich, Sheffield United, and Luton. I know Sheffield United dropped off a bit, but as Will puts, all 4 of those are in the playoff places: 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th. Our last 4 games going into the World Cup. It's a championship, isn't it? It's the championship.
Yeah, I mean,
we're playing at some point, aren't we?
Anybody can beat anybody in this league, and like you've already pointed out there, Sheffield United are not doing particularly well. So Luton are, but that will drop off at some stage.
They started poorly, didn't they? For by their standards, they had a really poor start, Luton.
Yeah.
They form again.
So there's nobody to be scared of. There's nobody to be frightened of in this division. We've seen that already. Nobody. So we just keep going. And
we haven't touched the league position, have we? So we get a bit giddy.
I believe. Can't we?
We were 10th on the night. I think we've changed that. We've gone down a place now to 11th. Which is
I've got a number right. Get in.
We are 11th, 3 points off the playoffs with a game in hand. And we are 6 points off second with 2 games in hand. Look, we're obviously not looking at this stage of this stage of the table. If we can pick up another couple of wins in this next run, then we're sitting incredibly pretty. If we pick up 2 more wins between now and the World Cup, we're on 27 points, aren't we?
Yeah.
27 points into, and we're not even halfway stage, would be incredible. We'd have all taken that at the start of the season. So, I don't know. It's good to get giddy every so often. Even if we know we're not going to be there at the end of the season, it's always nice to dream. It's what football's all about.
Absolutely.
Right, so let's move on. Any other topics, comments? Danny, you had something you want to tell us about the Stoke game being recorded on telly?
Oh dear, my missus is going to hate me for saying this, but yeah. So we decided to try a new Wetherspoons before going for the coach and to Kimmy Parks. We tried the Queen's Hotel in Maltby. Nice place. Just recorded the intro for my vlog, which is up on YouTube, by the way, if you want to go and watch. And then as soon as I put my phone down after the intro, I've gone, I forgot to put the game on record. Oh no. So my last, bless her, she drove back to mine so I could just put the game on record. Only reason, it's like, right, you go and put it on record and then straight back out and we'll go back to the pub. And I'm so happy that she did, because on record and we've won. So, so the only reason we've actually won is purely because of my missus driving me home to put it on record. So that's it. That is the only reason. It don't have anything to do with Victor being absolutely incredible between the sticks. It's purely down to my missus driving me home. So there you go.
If she only just made it, does that mean she missed the goal on the way back to the pub?
Oh
no. This was like at 12 o'clock. This happened. I just remembered, like, I forgot to hit it on record.
Yeah. Jamie says, "Is it true that Rotherham Women's lost 25-0? No, that was the youth team as well. It was a girls' game.
Yeah, it's the education team, so it's like attached to the Sports Trust division, not the club itself.
Yeah. Rumour has it Alan Swan forced them to tweet it out, the scoreline. That's true.
I wonder what happened to him. Justice for Rotherham getting promoted in the COVID season, finally.
Yeah. It's his own fault for voting to end the season, COVID. Yeah, all right. That clears that one up. They won at the weekend, by the way. We should praise Rotherham Women. They beat Barnsley Reserves 2-0 in the senior Sheffield and Hampshire Senior Cup. So congratulations. I think they've got Donny in the next round, Donny Bells in the next round.
Ooh,
tie. Very good tie.
Get the pyros out. Kidding.
Moving forward, Will has the first question on the weekend's game. Who would you drop for Saturday, a Dauphin or Wiles? That's the question, Mick, because we're very unlikely, almost certainly not going to play the same formation at home.
No.
Which means one of those four in the middle has got to go. Which one of those four are you going to take? Because Wiles was quiet again, but Barlasser was very quiet. Without Rathman's goal, Rathman was pretty quiet. So there's only a Dauphin that sort of shone a little bit. Did a Dauphin only shine because we were seeing him for the first time in a while?
No, I mean the reason that our midfield three were quiet was because Stoke kept bypassing it by just hitting it straight over the top, which is what we had when we had a massive problem with that in dealing with that. Or they went down that their right hand side, our left, where Fergie was sitting very, very deep. So the midfield themselves, out of possession, were taken out of the game really, and in possession. We just didn't keep it for long enough, did we? You know, we were doing the same thing as them going long. So I don't necessarily think it was anybody had a particularly bad game. Ben Wiles wasn't on it again. Unfortunately, he's just not in those levels that he has hit. I suspect that it will still be a Dauphin that drops out and back down to the bench, and the standard midfield, for want of a better term, will return, and a Dauphin will drop down at the cost of the first striker. I don't think Kelly will be playing either. I don't think you can. We just bought Tom Eaves from Hull. We bought him in from Hull. We're playing Hull, and they're
playing, isn't it?
You know what I mean? It's for me that's a no-brainer. But then I'm a proper football manager, am I? So, or even a football manager at all. They might a proper one. Yeah, but I suspect it'll be a Dauphin that drops down personally.
Yeah, and and Eves and Wash to come back in.
Yeah.
Probably agree. Danny, do you agree with that?
Yeah, I think so. I think a Dauphin showed that he's more of your strength-based, more defensive sort of midfielder. Because he got stuck in with defence at times against Stoke. But with Hull, it's all about stopping their creative play. Because they've got, I forget his name, but they've got that one player who's on an absolutely insane scoring run at the minute.
He went on bench the other night. Oscar Stupiani.
Yeah, so my inference with that is that because he started on the bench, he's going to start against us. So if you limit their creative play, that seems to be where he's getting his goals from, then we should be okay. And if we focus on what we know at home, which, like the little passing triangles and knocking it about and, getting that goal in that way, then we should be all right. I agree with Kelly going to the bench and being an impact sub. I think Eves has probably done enough in what little we saw of him against Stoke to go back in a starting position, because then you've got the big man and the little terrier, if you like, running about off him as well. All Eves need to do is apply his pressing that he showed against Stoke, against Hull, which I think he will, because we've got Tommy from Hull, and like I said, we're against Hull. Then, yeah, that should be a good application. I agree with Wiles coming to midfield, because even though he is sort of hit and miss, which sounds really harsh to say, because we all love Ben Wiles, but he has been a little bit hit and miss, but he still has that creative element about him that we saw against, I'm trying to think who we beat now, Huddersfield, that were it. He still showed a lot of creative intent against Huddersfield, which sometimes is enough because other people can feed off that energy. Maybe he was off it against Stoke because he was captain for a bit. That's a lot of pressure on the young lad's shoulders. But anyway, we're making inferences about that. But yeah, Eves to come back in, Wiles to stay in, Woody to come back in, I think. And should be all right.
You've got to bear in mind that we set up so defensively at Stoke as well that's not Wiles' game. So straight away, he's going to be on the back foot from that point of view as well. Whereas we're going to be far more attacking at home. I can't understand in terms of this top scorer of theirs. Why would they put him on bench to rest him for Saturday?
They made a lot of changes for their midweek game. Again, we've talked about this in the past. They played Tuesday. We played Tuesday. They play Wednesday, so we get a longer break. So they only get 2-day rest. They made some changes, which worked. They won in midweek. They made lots of changes. Having lost quite a few in a row, they made changes and then won.
Right.
So they're still without a manager as well. Andy Dawson's currently caretaker for them, so they're still without a manager, which could obviously we all know it can go one way or another.
Is that Andy Dawson off Atletico Minsk?
It's not Andy Dawson off Atletico Minsk. No.
Oh, right.
It's not some fat Sunderland bloke. No.
Oh, right. I mean, I just thought.
He's got eight goals this season. I'm going to call him Oscar because I can't pronounce his surname. 8 goals this season, but only 1 in his last 9. He's got 8. He scored a hat trick and scored 2 braces. So they've all come sort of clumped together, all within like 4 games. So he's not on a hot streak. He says, like an idiot.
Can we have a separate tin for potentially screwing us up?
Yeah. On a positive, I think the last time that Hull played Rotherham at New York Stadium, Tom Eves got a hat trick.
Yeah, he did. Yeah,
it was obviously for Hull, but we've got to cling on to some symmetry. It'd be one of the best footballing symmetries if he gets a hat trick on Saturday. To be honest with you, that'd be beautiful.
Yep, absolutely.
Not holding that hope. The referee for Saturday, I haven't done a screenshot for it. It's Steve Martin, not the Steve Martin, not the famous one.
We had that conversation last time he refed us. Let's not.
It's always worth it. It's always worth it. He did ref us this season. He's refed at New York Stadium this season and we won 4-0 against Reading. So he assisted Barlas as an assistant for the 4th goal.
That's right, yeah.
So hopefully Steve Martin could help us. Mick, we haven't talked about Gavin Ward.
No.
Do you want to give
we nearly got to 58 minutes. We were so close.
Stoke fans don't like him. But realistically, you can argue every game, you can argue about time wasted. I don't think it was ridiculous what I did think with time wasted. I thought he did okay.
I don't see any problem with his performance, to be honest. It was interesting reading some of the Stoke social media about him, how the fact that he hates Stoke and he hates this and he hates that, and they should have had 2 penalties. I'm not even sure where the second one was. I assume the first one was for the lap dive. Yeah. I thought he was all right. I thought he had a decent game. There was nothing really contentious for him to have to deal with, was there? So nobody sort of fouled any at goalkeepers, which is his forte. So he were all right. I had no complaints about his performance at all, personally.
Yeah, which is good. Perfect type of referee.
Absolutely, yeah, 100%.
Yeah. Congratulations, Gavin. I'm sure you're not listening. But John just does say his bookings were ridiculous. How he didn't book, how Gale didn't get booked, and then the lap dive as well. Yes,
he's not going to book. He's not going to book Gale, is he? He's a Premier League player. He's a high-profile player. That is Gavin Ward. He's not the most. He's not got a lot of ball, has he?
In the nicest way as possible, Dwight Gale looked past it. He was on his one. He was once one of the most dangerous men in the Championship.
Yeah,
he looked a complete shadow of that, didn't he?
He's a shell, isn't he? He's an absolute shell of the player that he used to be, and I don't know why that is.
He looks old. I don't know what it is. He looks like his age. I don't even know how old he is, but he looks like he's aged.
Yeah, he looks like that player that's on his last contract, isn't he? Yeah. Very, very poor. Very poor.
Yeah. Bazza says, anybody seen the advertiser about the guy who came down from the north of Scotland for the Huddersfield game, got to meet all the players and the pennant afterwards? Yeah, that was Ryan Munro who came down from Scotland to taste the Rotherham victory. He's not going to be there at the weekend, I assume. So if we lose against Hull, entirely his fault. Sorry, Ryan.
Oh, dear. That's so it's put on the poor lad's shoulders. Good grief.
Look, we all know how this works.
I mean, yeah, but you don't have to say it out loud.
No. But then if he comes again later in the season and we win again, then it really would then be his fault. So
yeah, nice.
But I'm glad he had a good time. I'm glad the club showed him a good time. It's nice to have random fans around the world that support this brilliant club.
He also managed to get Kelly's goal on camera for his little vlog montage thing he's done as well.
Yeah,
so fair play on
that. So we said Woody will come back in. Danny mentioned Woody coming back in. Grant Hall is okay, apparently. Matt Taylor said he had a calf strain, but he is okay for the weekend. The extra day's rest has probably helped with that. Then that begs the question, mate, because if Grant Hall's playing, he's going to get picked, or the evidence shows that he's going to get picked. Woody was rested specifically to play this game, because that's sort of how it works. Cameron Humphreys had a really good game. Wes had a mostly good game. I can't think of anything he did wrong. So you've got 4 defenders trying to fit into a 3-man defence. What do you take from that?
I take from that. It's a difficult decision. Yeah, you know exactly what I'm going to do. There's no question about that. It's not a difficult decision for me by any stretch of imagination. You start as you finished. Because that is our strongest back 3 for me, in my view. That's only my opinion, obviously, and it's worth absolutely zilch. But yeah, give it. If he has got a calf strain, if Grant Hall has got a calf strain, there's no need to risk it. There's absolutely no need to risk it. So
big games we've got coming up as well.
Absolutely. So yeah, I personally think we should be starting with the 3 that we finished with on Tuesday night.
Nicholas Skidmore gives an alternative view. He thinks Harding should be given a rest. He's played an incredible amount of minutes, Wes, hasn't he? An incredible amount of minutes. That could be something, Danny. Something Matt Taylor, he seems more on the cautious side than the previous management. They would play Woody through these games. They would just sort of force him through a little bit. Whereas Matt Taylor's already resting Woody when Woody could probably play. So I think if there is an issue with Harding, I think he will come out, won't he?
Yeah, I think so. I actually can't see Grant Hall starting because there is a calf strain issue lingering. Like I know he said he's all right for the game, but Matt Taylor's already put on record that there's no point in risking players at this point. So if he has a little niggle in his calf, you wouldn't start him when we're playing Tuesday, Saturday over and over again.
Yeah.
So yeah, I can see Humphreys, Woods, and Harding in that back 3. And yeah, I think that'll be the system. I think Hall will come into it to shore up the defence later in the game. I can see that definitely happening. Probably even come on for Harding when we need a bit more. Not to knock Wes, because he is a very experienced player, but when you need that little bit of a bit more of an older head at the back, and then to have Richard Wood and Grant Hall, it's like having 2 Richard Woods on the pitch. So yeah, I can see that sub happening at some point, unless Harding has an absolutely blinding game and plays the full 90.
Well, yeah.
But yeah, there's no point in risking Hall. So I think he'll be on the bench and it'll be Harding keeping his starting position.
Will thought Brook Norton-Cuffy was off it on Tuesday. Yeah, we didn't see too much of him, but Shelley points out he had his work cut out with Fosu. Yeah, he's going to have games like that. He's 18-year-old kid. He's got an incredible amount to learn playing against fast players. Against Middlesbrough, he struggled against Middlesbrough with the guy's name now, but that fullback who was very, very quick. It kept him quiet. He didn't struggle, did it? But it just keeps him quiet. It keeps his attacking side quiet, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. It does, absolutely.
But that just shows he's doing his defensive work really well.
Yeah, well, precisely that. That's exactly what I was going to say there. Yeah, it just shows the maturity of him, that he understands that his primary role is to defend. So yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, Giles is right. Will says Giles. That's right. Jones were on the other side, weren't he? Jones, Isaacs, can't remember now. Anyway, plays Middlesbrough. He's a right wing back. Predictions. I think we've gone through starting 11 prediction. I think we've covered it. I think Danny, you got it right last time, so I'll allow you first dibs.
Oh, brilliant. Well, I'm going to purely base this on a tweet that I found today about there's this one guy who's been away for 5 nights from the UK, and Liz Truss become Prime Minister, the Queen's died. What else happened? Something else happened, and then Liz Truss was resigned as Prime Minister. So the 5th one is obviously going to be a Tommy's hat trick. Like, obviously, I know he said let's not be silly and be realistic, but you never know with football. So I'm going to go for a tidy 3-1 win.
3-1 win. Well, we won 4-0 last time Steve Martin refereed us, so you never know. Mick?
I can't. Victor being on the run of form he's on at the moment, and if Matt Taylor starts with the team that the back three that I suggest, I'll text him and let him know. Then yeah, I'll go 3-0. I can't see us I can't see us conceding at the moment the way Victor's performing, and also the difficulties that Hull have been having. I might be wrong, obviously, but yeah, and I think Tom Eaves will be wanting to
definitely
show them what they're missing out on. So yeah, I'm going to go 3-0.
I'm going to be positive, but not quite as positive. I will go 2-1 to us. Sorry, mate. Graham Simpson says 2-0. Jamie's gone more positive. He says 4-0. Reese Kellick, same as you, Danny. Eves, he says all 3 will be in front of the Hull end. John C says 3-0. Nicholas Skidmore says 2-1. This is definitely a sign of how well we're doing, these predictions. 2 years ago, we weren't getting these type of predictions, were we?
No, we weren't, no.
Nobody was saying we're going to win 4-0 2 years ago. Understandably, because we didn't. There we go. Anything else you want to cover from either game, to be honest with you? We've just about done, I think.
We've got the Tobias prediction.
Oh, Tobias is with his apologies, Tobias. 1-0. He says Tobias. Paul Wanfield says 1-1. Kim Hill says 2-1. Andrew Kelly says 2-0. Our and Nicholas Skidmore.
Solid. Loving it.
Cool. Right. Thank you, everybody, for participating and being with us. It's been a pleasure. If you haven't already, please do subscribe to the YouTube channel. Danny's matchday vlog for Stoke is up, so you can watch that and relive Danny's nerves. Did you get the victory celebration at the end on as well?
No, I was too busy celebrating with him.
That's on Twitter right now. So it's all over on Twitter anyway. So if you haven't seen it already, go on Twitter and see how much it meant to Victor, his performance, that release. I can only imagine the release at the end of a game. You know, when you perform like that and the full-time whistle goes, it's just a release. I don't know how much it is for a fan. And we obviously don't put in an incredible performance, obviously. Although hats off to the fans that went, because that's all you could hear on telly were the Rotherham fans. They were brilliant. Yeah. So well done to all the Millers that went there.
If you wonder who that one idiot is who keeps shouting Red Army and then kicks off everybody else, yeah, that was me.
Yeah,
I would hope that you started to learn the RUFC's new Victor song as well. Then to the ABBA Super Trooper tune, it's a banger.
I'm getting
there. To hear that on Saturday. You people up at North Stand there.
If you're not subscribed to the audio, please do on iTunes, Spotify, wherever you're getting your audio podcast from. Please do subscribe on there. We will be back on for the post-match, the instant reaction. We'll be on YouTube Saturday evening sometime, and then we'll be back Sunday evening for the full review of the Hull game, and then we look ahead to the Coventry game. All being well with the Coventry game, with the issues they're having with the stadium. Everything looks like it's going to go ahead with that game. But obviously, we'll keep an eye on that should anything change. Mick, thank you for being with us tonight. It's been a pleasure.
You're very welcome. No, you're very welcome.
Danny, glad to have you with us as well. Thank you very much, mate.
Yep, always a pleasure. Just remember, everybody, one shot is all it takes.
Thank you, everybody. We'll see you soon.
Hi.
Ta-ra.
Ravel. Vicious. Brilliant. Mule with it. Wood's got around the back. And Richie Wood has done it again. The magic man has come up with another trick. Well, here's a chance to seal it. It's done. It's Georgie Kelly.